Congresswoman Schakowsky.
Thank you. While I can't support the Simpson-Bowles plan, I want to thank the co-chairmen for their dedication to this difficult task over the last 8 months, and I agree with them that the work was constructive despite our inability to get 14 votes. I offered my own plan to achieve the goal outlined by the President to reach primary budget balance by 2015 with one very different assumption. I believe that we can do it without further eroding the middle class in America. It pays to remember that just 10 years ago we had a budget surplus and the debt was rapidly decreasing. During the Bush years, those surpluses disappeared and huge debt accumulated due to 2 wars, 2 tax cuts, which mainly enriched the already wealthy, and a blind eye to the recklessness of Wall Street, which caused 8 million Americans to lose their jobs and millions more to lose their savings, the value of their homes, and the homes themselves. Now we're on a, quote, unsustainable fiscal path, to quote the report, that threatens the future economic viability of our country, and I agree. But there is another grave threat to both our economy and our democracy, and that is the alarming redistribution of wealth that is shrinking the middle class. The top 1% of Americans now own 34% of our nation's wealth, more than the entire 90% of the rest of Americans combined. Even during this Great Recession, the top 5% of households have seen their income rise. And let me just add that if we fail right now to extend unemployment insurance benefits to 2 million Americans, not only will that be another slap at the middle class, but it will hurt our economy by depriving our businesses, large and small, of what these struggling Americans will go out and spend. And now we have a commission report that glibly talks about shared sacrifice and making painful decisions. And I ask, painful for whom? These recommendations ask those who have already been sacrificing, who are sacrificing now, to further sacrifice. Those who have not enjoyed the prosperity party over the last many years are being asked to pick up too much of the tab. We don't need to do this. There is another way. My plan recognizes the need to create jobs, a deficit-reducing strategy that some incorrectly view as just more spending. Their plan does not include upfront investments to lower the unemployment rate. The Simpson-Bowles plan addresses rising health care costs by asking the elderly and disabled Medicare beneficiaries to pay more out of their own pockets, even though they already pay about 30% of their mostly meager incomes. The median income for seniors is $18,000 per year, to pay that on their own. Their plan cuts Medicare by $110 billion by imposing higher cost sharing requirements on seniors and people with disabilities. Mine requires Medicare to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies for lower prices, like the Veterans Administration does, bringing down the cost to seniors and government by billions of dollars. Mine adds a public option to the choices that consumers will have in 2014. The CBO estimates at a savings of about $10 billion per year. The Simpson-Bowles plan cuts the bloated military budget, which is a good thing. Mine does as well, but not by freezing non-combat military pay for 3 years or by cutting military health care benefits. These military families are not getting rich serving our country and should not be the target of deficit reduction. Responding to Republican calls for slashing spending, the Bowles-Simpson plan calls for deep cuts in domestic discretionary spending. Using the Bowles-Simpson formula, the Center of Budget and Policy Priority calculates a 22% cut in current funding levels in 2020, jeopardizing everything from nutrition and education to medical research and job training. And amazingly to me, their plan opens a new huge loophole to incentivize companies to outsource jobs By adopting a territorial tax system, U.S.-based multinational corporations will never have to pay taxes on profits earned from subsidiaries in foreign countries. And finally, the Bowles-Simpson plan would require cuts in Social Security benefits. The good news is that it acknowledges that Social Security does have nothing to do with the deficit, and that their plan to make Social Security solvent for the next 75 years is not a plan for debt reduction. It's for solvency. The bad news is that the average benefits for middle-income workers, we're talking about people who make from $43,000 to $69,000 a year, could be cut up to 35% depending on when they retire, given all the changes that their plan suggests. There is no need to cut benefits in Social Security. We don't need to cut Social Security in order to save it, as my plan proves. I've highlighted just a few of the ways that the Bowles-Simpson plan further erodes the middle class. There are many things in their plan that are also in mine, however. I appreciate that there has been a consensus on this commission that the defense budget must be subjected to scrutiny and trimming in ways never seriously considered before. It is very significant that tax expenditures, or as the co-chairs have called tax earmarks, all those deductions that are largely skewed again to the wealthy, are finally being recognized for what they are, spending, but through the tax code. Some will criticize my approach to deficit reduction as politically impossible, but I gladly subject my ideas to the public, knowing that protecting Social Security and Medicare benefits, investing in jobs, and yes, asking the richest Americans to contribute more represents a majority view despite the inside the Beltway conventional wisdom of what is possible. Bottom line, the Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, though, has proven that fixing our nation's fiscal challenges is not mission impossible. I look forward to the constructive debate that has been started, and I will continue to stand up for low-income and middle-class Americans so that we can uphold the truly American notion of leaving each generation better off than the one that came before it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you for playing a constructive part of this debate.